All right. So since I'm the last presenter in this session, I've been trying to convince myself that I'll be the cherry on top. Just a little spoiler, you're going to be seeing this slide popping up every 2 or 3 slides in the slide deck. And the reason behind that is that there was a study by Stanford that concluded that putting one of these break slides in your slide decks improves the, kind of like helps the audience remember your presentation better. Actually, there was no such study. I just made that up. Well, thank you everyone very much for being here today. My name is Odai Al Hashmi. Mashar did a great job introducing me. I'm 22 years old. I come from Syria, and today I would like to tell you a little something about this picture. This picture has unfortunately become something that we are all very familiar with. It's something that has become kind of normal to an extent. It's something that we see every day on the news. We hear about in the different media outlets. And those little faces over there that you are looking at as I speak they have become sort of like just pixels that we see on the screen every day. They have become numbers that we just hear about, nothing more than that. Today there are more than 62 million refugees worldwide. This has been the highest number of refugees since World War II. And it means that for every 122 people that live on Earth, there's one person that was forced to leave their home. These people leave their homes seeking security, refuge, and better opportunities. Opportunities which are very scarce, and only an extremely small amount of those refugees actually manage to come across those opportunities. One of the people that was on one of these boats is my friend Anas. Anas he studied in Syria for 4.5 years. He did civil engineering, and he was 1 semester away from graduating until the conflict reached his region, and he and his family were forced to leave to Turkey. Now, upon his arrival to Turkey, he applied to several universities, and he got rejected over and over again because he didn't know the language, and the universities didn't really have that many seats for foreign students. Not to mention that he was not able to apply for private schools because we all know how expensive they are. So what he did is he looked for a job, and he found a job at a travels and tourism office, and he was getting $300 a month to work 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, doing nothing but handing flyers out in the street to tourists. And he did this for 3 years. This was in 2013, almost 3 years up until a few months ago. He was still doing this job, and he only got a raise of $50 since he started. So Anas is only, like when we look at this picture, we feel bad for these people, but for Anas, at one point, he looked at these people and he saw them as fortunate, as lucky and privileged because they were able to bear the cost of this risky and sometimes even deadly trip to Europe, and he couldn't. Eventually, luckily, he managed to save some money, get on one of these, and arrive safely to Europe, where he got to Germany, and now he's studying German language, and he's trying to pick up and get back on track in his life and resume his education. Now, Anas is only an example of an uncountable number of refugees worldwide that cannot have access to higher education. They're unable to continue their education. There's an estimated number of 6 million refugees worldwide that are currently qualified to attend a higher educational institution, but they're unable to due to many problems. Now the UNHCR, in their education strategy between 2012 and 2016, they did some homework, and they managed to identify the 4 main problems or barriers that are keeping refugees from accessing higher education. And the first one was the lack of financial resources from the refugees' part, the absence of legal documents. Sometimes it could take up to 2 years or a year and a half for the student or for the refugee to settle his legal status and get all of his papers. The college capacity issue, which means that universities don't really have that many seats for foreign students. And of course, the language barrier. Now, this is where Kiron steps in. And one might wonder, what is Kiron? Now, Kiron is an innovation-driven enterprise. It's a nonprofit NGO that aims to integrate refugees into their host societies, mainly by providing them with free access to higher education, but also by surrounding them with an ecosystem of opportunities with which they can take advantage of their skills, improve their knowledge, and pursue their life and dreams. Okay, so really cool. How do we do this? So our concept is as the following. So we have three main steps. First, we establish partnerships with the best, we say the best, online course providers and universities. We use the latest educational software and technologies, and we have a scalable model that can be rolled out to solve a global crisis. Now, basically what we do is we don't reinvent the wheel. We use resources, and we try to be kind of like in the middle, try to collect resources from different types, from different sorts of people and groups of people, and we try to put them all together and come up with a solution. We did not invent any of this. So this is how we make money. So for now, it's a little bit embarrassing because we're still not able to be sustainable. We only started in October. We're pretty, we really want to become sustainable, but so the way we get money is we get money from government support and from foundations. They give us grants. We are also very happy to receive any type of donations or contributions from the different type of people. We actually had two very successful crowdfunding campaigns, the first of which we managed to raise 530,000 euros, and it was all donated by people that gave us 20 euros at a time, 50 euros at a time, so it was awesome. And we have the reverse generation model. Now, this is the fancy thing that we have, and we're waiting until we graduate our first batch of students until we become sustainable. So what we do with this is that the Kiron students that graduate and find a job, eventually they will start giving us a small portion of their salaries or like contribute to the education of the coming generations. So this is the break slide. Okay, so very cool, very cool. How do you do this though? So what we do is that there are these, you see Coursera, edX, Iversity. A lot of you know what they are, but for those that don't, they are online platforms that have MOOCs, and MOOCs are massive open online courses, which is just a fancy way of saying online courses. So you have elite universities and very prestigious universities worldwide that develop courses. For example, universities like Harvard, MIT, UC Berkeley, TU Munich, UCSD, they develop all of these courses, and edX has access to all of these courses on its platform. So we establish a partner with edX. We take these courses, we give them to our students. Our students study online for 2 years. They finish a certain amount of credits, which is 120 ECTSs. After they complete their credits, they get transferred to a partner university where they have to attend physically and finish their studies after 1 or 2 years, depending on the university they're attending. This is a list of the universities that we have, and up there is the list of the MOOC providers that we have. Now, I mentioned earlier the ecosystem that we surround our students with. And in the beginning, we were working mainly on higher education, but then we went down and we actually talked to refugees. We asked them, like, what are your problems? What do you need? And they told us that they have many problems than higher education. They're, like, some of them can't speak a language. Some of them are psychologically affected and traumatized by the war in Syria or Iraq or Afghanistan. Some of them just need a mentor. So what we did is we developed these different programs, and this is our ecosystem. So for example, we have the study hubs for students that don't have access to internet. They don't have computers or cell phones. So the study hub is basically a computer lab where the students can go. They can socialize with other students. They can study and take their online courses. We have the job platform for employers that want to employ refugees for part-time so they can make some money. We have language school, psychological support, and the buddy program, which is my favorite. So the buddy program, we bring a refugee student, and we bring a local student, and we kind of like match them together. So this way they can learn the language, the refugee student can learn the language, can be shown the culture, can be shown around. It's very important for cultural exchange. And we have different algorithms that will try to find the best match, the buddy match for the refugee. And I like to think of it as kind of like Tinder for buddies. Commercial break again. So we launched our programs in October of 2015, and sorry, and we managed to take in over 1,300 students, this 1,300 students, and we were only able to do this with the help of all of these people. So we have 250 volunteers like that generously give us a lot of their time, and I mean a lot of their time. They always spread the word about us. They always try to get us contacts and tell people about us. We have a core team of 80 hardworking people, some of which have worked in corporations. Most of them are young professionals, and they worked on a volunteering basis for some time until we were able to start giving them some money. But it's very symbolic. We have our board. Basically, it's like 50 entrepreneurs and professors that tell us what to do and what not to do. They just give us advice. And we have cooperations with universities, with organizations, and with international corporations. So this is pretty cool. You can see that 51% of our students are Syrians. And it's not because we have a bias, but it's just because like when we first started, we had the most access. We had the biggest access to the social networks where there are Syrians. So that's why they heard the most about us. And these are the programs that refugees are most interested in. And this is our network. You can see our MOOC providers, our partners. So students, countries of origin, 51% from Syria, and you can see our Kiron offices and regional groups. So when we first started, we didn't have an office. We were basically working from our bedrooms. Eventually, we got a co-working space in Berlin. And then we just got a proper office, which is awesome. So our headquarters is in Berlin. We managed to open offices in Munich, in Paris, in Brussels. We're working on one in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and we have one in Istanbul, and we're working on one in Jordan, but it's not there yet. So those are some of our supporters. For example, the BMW Foundation, the SDW, 180 Degrees Consulting, Lingua, Keypod, and much more. So how did we solve the challenge that we mentioned earlier? First thing, we managed to tackle the cost problem by establishing agreements and partnerships with MOOC providers, which provide us with everything for free. Also, the universities that we're partners with, they don't really take that much money, and we don't take direct tuitions from students. It all comes from the reverse generation model. The legal problems, the legal documents issue, we tackle that by allowing the students to start studying even when their legal status is not settled yet. So we give them around 2 years before they get transferred to the partner university to get their documents sorted. We solved the college capacity issue because we have blended learning, and with blended learning, so it's online, offline, and this allows you to take in much more students. And the language problem, we do this by providing online content in English, Arabic, and German. We have partnerships with existing institutions to allow access, and we have specialized online tutoring to learn the necessary languages. So basically, if you want to look at what we do in another way, what we do is we empower refugees to live a self-determined life by transforming them to students. And this is my time for now, but I would like to share a little something from my Kiron experience. So since we started Kiron 1.5 years ago, up until now, it's been an amazing ride. It's been a journey that any person of the Kiron community would do over and over again. And we learned so much, we grew up so much during this journey, and what we realized that what we give the most, more than education or opportunities, is hope. One student of ours said that what wakes him up in the morning, studying with Kiron is what wakes him up in the morning, because now he can see a future for himself. So we kind of like just comprehended and absorbed the meaning of hope and how important it is to spread it and give it to the underprivileged by gestures that could be as simple as a smile. Eventually, we're all on the same boat, and what happens over there matters over here. Thank you very much.